तारीफ करूं क्या उसकी जिसने टैरिफ को बनाया है. Namaste and welcome to this episode of the TT. That is not only the Thursday thoughts, it's about Trump's tariffs. Yeah, we are going to discuss Trump's tariffs and the upheaval or the turmoil, the shattering experience or the shocking, the earthquake that has resulted by President Trump's tariffs to the whole world economy. Now, in a recent interview, our External Affairs Minister, Subramaniam Jaishankar, is quoted to have told that tariffs are inevitable. Yeah, if tariffs are inevitable, why don't we work so that it is mutually beneficial? Tariff, I don't know from the etymology of the word tariff. I wanted to check. It is from Latin, then so many other languages of Europe, and ultimately it was coming towards Arab. I was thinking tariff and tarif, not much of a difference. Tariff is something that a country has to pay when that country is exporting its materials or goods to the other country based on the other country's percentage or tariff that it is levying on its products. So it is like you are going to sell your products in my country. I will put 10%, 5%, 20%, 125, 145% of tariff, whatever suits me, to your products because I'm appreciating your goods. मैं तारीफ कर रहा हूँ आपके products का. So that is how the word tarif or tariff has come. And of late, President Trump, in his running to the White House for the second term after a gap, which happened mostly with a gap of 100 years, he was telling, no, the US economy has been looted by countries because of their unfair trade practices. And now US has to recover the money through tariffs. That is how the concept came into his thinking and his speeches. Definitely by his think tank has told him this is what we should do. And 2nd April, 9th April, the whole world economy was in turmoil after the so high percentage of tariffs on the countries that he termed as the looters. Like he put China 34%, then even Vietnam or such countries 46%, 49% even it went up to. And now after the retaliatory tariffs by China, it has now gone up to 145%. And where does India stand in the whole gamut of things? And with a big chart, you would have seen the video of President Trump telling that India is a very tough country. Yeah, good to hear that from the most powerful president of the world. That is the US, the POTA, that is the president of POTUS rather, president of the United States of America, telling that India is a tough country. We ought to be, we have to be tough when it comes to the Indian rights are required. So anyway, that beside that point, and he told it is 26%, but in the so many interviews now running up and down over the net, over the YouTube, over all the news channels. So many people are interviewing so many others in the government. So now Piyush Goyal, our Minister of Commerce, tells that, yes, we are going to have a discussion with the US delegation. We'll go to US or they will come to India. We'll discuss about the mutually agreeable bilateral trade agreement. Bilateral trade agreement is something wherein the two countries or a group of countries will be multilateral, of course, but bilateral trade agreement is between two countries. They will discuss how much should be the tariffs so that both the countries benefit, both the citizens of the countries will also benefit. Now, the fallout of 9th April, people have seen there was almost like a meltdown. The stock markets of India itself, they lost almost 39.4 lakh crores. That's what reported. So now, what exactly is the motive, or what is President Trump trying to achieve by this? Very simple. He feels that a lot of jobs are lost because of the high tariffs. A lot of production is lost because of high tariffs. And mostly he's trying to target China. Because you know what? Can you guess the mutual trade between China and the US? It is around $585 billion US dollars, that is, and of which the exports that China makes to the US is $440 billion, and America, in its part, exports to China $145 billion only. So there is a huge trade deficit. So this is what had happened to even India some time back. So no country can take this imbalance. There has to be, if two countries, like the famous dialogue of आशिकी, if you remember, the first आशिकी, बराबरी उसमें होता है जिसमें दोनों का बराबर हिस्सा रहता है. So in any partnership, if a partner is superior or feels that he is superior, then there is a problem. It cannot be anymore a partnership. Partnership will be best when both think that both are important. Maybe 50-50, 49-51, not more distorted than that. But this 440 to 145 is totally skewed. So that is what was in the mind, in the heart of President Trump. And I think he has got every right to go ahead and do it. And slowly, as you have seen, he has given a 3 months notice period, like 90 days pause to all other countries except again China. And China is telling, I'll fight till the end. We don't know end of what. So this is how the tariff, the whole world economies, the largest two economies in the world, the US having GDP of 29 trillion USD, and China having 18.9 trillion USD. So they are fighting. It's always the case. Always the case. What happens is the number one and number two, they don't see eye to eye. If they see eye to eye, things would have been much better for all of us. But when when the US and China are not seeing eye to eye, they are having almost like it is like an auction going on. And the first day you hear US raising the tariffs, and immediately China tells, I will have from 34, I'll raise it to 84%. The next day US comes back and tells, I will put 125%. And again China tells, what is this happening? Is it a Monda Bazaar where people are trying to auction and trying to bid higher and higher in the tariffs, and they are shattering. They are going to affect the world economy. The world economy for once was looking up, and you know what? India being the largest, having the country having the largest potential for growth, or the economic growth is going up like anything. A lot of positivity around India is built by the whole world. IMF is looking at India, and at this time, if the two economies are going to at loggerheads, definitely it's going to affect India. Then how India should try to tackle this? India has to tackle it like the way they are doing it. They are just waiting And as Piyush Goyal, the Minister of Commerce, told, the Prime Minister of India, Sri Narendra Modi ji, was the first of the bloc to discuss with the US president and tell that we will have a bilateral trade agreement. So that is where the whole diplomacy lies. That is where, and you have seen there is a 90-day pause, and India is immediately trying to cash on this 90 days time period. They will send their delegation to the US and talk to their counterparts, and probably we can strike a bilateral trade agreement just for my sake, as well as for the sake of people who might be new to the terms. Free trade agreement, FTA, is something between two countries where there is no tariff, or they have decided to reduce the tariff to the minimum. So as a result, the businesses improve, the relations improve, people to people contact improves, and everything on the positive. So that is where it should be in a multilateral system, multipolar system, as the world exists today. We should be governed by many big players, not necessarily Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma in the US or the China, or the US and China. So it cannot happen that there has to be balance. So probably that is what the whole thing will boil down to. And India, in its part, is doing excellent work by not telling that we are going to retaliate. We will have mutually agreeable trade agreements so that both the countries stand to benefit. Yeah, it is very fair that President Donald Trump stands for the US as much as Prime Minister Narendra Modi stands for India, and all of us stand for India. So let us go ahead and see how it all can settle down. Definitely for the time being, it's a huge war going on between the largest two economies of the world, as the economist, the famous economist, quoting Winston Churchill, told on a similar situation. Churchill had told, it is not the end. This type of wars will not end that soon. So it is not the end, neither the beginning of the end. It is only the end of the beginning. So hopefully good things to come ahead of the discussions, and we will have positivities, because already we have seen that Apple's iPhone manufacturing in India has increased like anything. In March itself, 600 tons, almost 1.5 million units of iPhones were lifted by cargo airplanes from Chennai, and even they have requested the Chennai airport authorities to reduce the customs clearance from 30 hours to 6 hours, because they want to hasten up the whole thing. And many economists are telling it could be a self-goal by President Trump. Protectionism is not going to help, because we have suffered because of protectionism for a long time. We want to make in India, but not at the cost of the Indians or at the cost of the value. So we will get the best things in the world to India, and each company, maybe it is the origin is maybe some other country like US, they can have a base like iPhone manufacturing in India. It will shore up like anything. And as the famous joke nowadays on WhatsApp goes, my friend in the US has requested me in India to get him an iPhone from India to the US. I'm sure this is going to happen if there are good thinking prevailing upon, sanity prevailing upon the diplomats of India and the White House. Praying for good times to come for Indian economy as well as the world economy. God bless. Take care. Till we meet next time again. God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.